For decades, Iran, Israel, and the United States have clashed in a war of influence, sometimes in the shadows, sometimes through proxies. But in 2026, this conflict spilled into open warfare. Allies turned adversaries. Logistics became missiles. Diplomacy became drones. This is not just another Middle Eastern flashpoint. This is a geopolitical turning point. The question is not merely who wins militarily, but what happens when global powers collide in a region that fuels half the world's economy? To understand this confrontation, we must go back to the 1979 Iranian Revolution. Iran transformed from a U.S.-aligned monarchy into an Islamic republic. The new government rejected Western influence and embraced strategic independence. Relations with the United States collapsed, especially after the hostage crisis that defined early post-revolutionary Iran. Then came decades of proxy conflicts, Iran supporting groups like Hezbollah and Hamas Israel, and the U.S. countering Iranian-influenced regional rivalries shaping local wars from Syria to Yemen. These were not isolated battles, but chapters in a larger struggle for regional dominance. Iran's nuclear program added another explosive dimension. Western powers, led by the U.S., feared Tehran could develop nuclear weapons. Israel publicly stated it would never allow a nuclear-armed Iran. Multiple diplomatic efforts, including the 2015 nuclear deal, tried to contain the program. But when the U.S. withdrew from that agreement in 2018 and renewed sanctions, tensions reignited. By 2026, those tensions had escalated into direct military action as Israel and the U.S. struck Iranian nuclear, missile, and command infrastructure. On February 28, 2026, Israel and the U.S. launched coordinated strikes known as Operation Lion's Roar. Hundreds of targets across Iran, from Tehran to Isfahan, were hit. Iran's supreme leader was reported killed in the initial wave. This historic escalation marked the first time Israel and the U.S. openly coordinated such extensive attacks inside Iranian territory. But Iran did not collapse. Missiles and drones soon rained down on Israeli cities and U.S. bases stationed across the Gulf. The conflict became not just physical but psychological, a test of will, strategy, and endurance. The war did not remain confined within Iran's borders. Iran-backed militias in Iraq and Lebanon launched attacks against U.S. and Israeli positions. The Strait of Hormuz, a vital artery for global oil, was disrupted, pushing energy markets into turmoil. In Bahrain, Iranian drone strikes hit civilian infrastructure, spreading fear well beyond battlefields. Countries across the Gulf region were forced to respond, some by strengthening defenses, others by condemning violence. What began as a conflict between three powers now threatens the stability of an entire region. Beyond rockets and drones, this confrontation could reshape the international order. Oil markets are jittery, trade corridors are threatened, great powers are choosing sides. Russia, for its part, has acknowledged supporting Iran, not openly as an ally but through shared intelligence and strategic cooperation. Meanwhile, the U.S. has deployed additional Marines and naval assets into the region, signaling both deterrence and readiness. This is not just Middle Eastern geopolitics. It is a new form of multi-centered conflict involving global powers, regional proxies, economic disruption, and strategic signaling at a scale not seen in generations. War is not measured only in missiles. Historic sites in Iran, places like Golistan Palace and Chehel Sotun, have been damaged amid airstrikes, threatening cultural heritage. Civilians have died, families have fled, communities have been shattered. This is the invisible cost of war, one that often goes uncounted in military briefings but shapes the identity of nations for generations. Conclusion: what happens next? A confrontation this complex rarely ends quickly. Diplomacy and negotiations may yet pull world leaders back from the brink, or the conflict may expand in unpredictable ways. So here's the ultimate question. In a world where regional powers, nuclear interests, and global superpowers collide, is there a future where diplomacy wins over force? And if not, what kind of world are we building when great powers choose war as a first resort?